Hi, I'm Sean from Better HR. Here again with Nick from UpCoach.
Hey, sir.
We've had a great relationship with Nick, good long partnership with UpCoach. And one of the things we keep getting asked about is, we're working with a lot of clients. Clients tell us you're doing great things, but it's for other clients, what are these great things and sort of how you're helping people. I think one thing that'd be really worth talking about is, business coaching, is a generic term. But getting into what are we talking about when we talk about business coaching? Like what areas of a business do you help with?
Yeah.
Can you tell us a little bit more about that? Maybe even some of the sort of clients you're working with?
Absolutely. So I think you're right. I think the word business coaching is a broad term that people go, okay, I think they coach businesses. With us here at UpCoach, we're more corner men. And there's a difference between being a business coach or a business mentor and a corner man.
Yep.
And to me, a corner man is there for you when you need them. They're there to motivate you. They're there to make sure you get the job done. And they're there not to put up with, I'm going to use the proverbial, your bullshit. Because sometimes business owners kind of get on a tangent. And, I used to be this person that I used to have shiny object syndrome and it's all over the place. Now, what do we actually do? Well, at UpCoach, we work on three key areas in a business. The number one for any business is stability in your business. And what I mean by stability is there's three key areas that we work on. So if I had to say what the first 4 weeks looks like in a business, so people kind of get an understanding of what coaching is. Mm-hmm. First of all, we assess your business. So we want to know how much money you're making, what profitability, where does that come from, how much you're spending, have you got any tax bills or implications that are going to cost the business? Tell us a bit more about the employees, tell us more about the product, the system, systems, what's your marketplace, where are you at in the marketplace? So I just think it's a major needs analysis. There's probably 100 questions that we ask. In that 4 weeks, usually we come out and see you, so because we want to know boots on ground what your business looks like. Because if you've got a factory or you're in trade and construction or you're in, let's say, NDIS or any of that stuff, we need to know the people. We need to know you. That's really important.
And I imagine a lot of that stuff businesses have almost taken for granted after a long period of time because they think they know it. So they're living and breathing it every day, but they don't really ever pop up in the helicopter and review it.
Yeah, you're right. If it ain't broke, don't fix it, right?
Correct. They're too busy doing other things.
Yeah, what is it? You can't see the forest because you're in the trees, right?
But I like your reference to the corner man because having a bit of a boxing background, fighting background, I understand what that actual role does.
Yeah, we're there with you, right? That's important. Because there's a lot of business coaches out here in the marketplace that, you just... do a group coaching session once a month, everybody gets together and it's all cool. But you're dealing with somebody that's got a startup business all the way up to somebody that's got a $100 million business. And the advice for those couldn't be any different if you even tried.
And they're more outside the ring. So they're training you and teaching you the skills.
Correct.
They're not actually
We're actually doing it with you.
And in business, you get knocked down. You get knocked around. Yeah, I understand the distinction. So it's good you pointed that out.
It's a level of, absolutely. You're kind of trying to recover all the time, right? That's how it is. So I think, we understand the business. Then the first platform, like I said, is stability. I believe there's three key areas in any business for stability. Because some people go, I'm working on my website and I'm working on the vision and I'm working on, the feel in the business and I'm working on the logo and I'm working on and I'm not saying that those things aren't important, but if you're doing all of that and you're not making any money, it doesn't matter how good your bloody logo is, it ain't going to work, right? Yeah. It's simple.
And the correct terminology is you're working in your business.
You're working in the business. So we look at sales, we look at marketing, and we look at money. Mm-hmm. These are the three key areas that I think any business needs stability. Do I have a pipeline of clients that are constantly coming through?
Yep.
Where does that pipeline come from? A lot of the companies I work with, they're referrals. And a lot of companies we work with already have got, good pipelines. They've been in business for a long time. We don't do a lot of startup type businesses. Most of ours are established. And like I like to share with people, UpCoach is known not from zero to good, but good to great. We increase your business to that next level. So we want to look at the marketing, and then we help you build 6 to 7 or 8 marketing sources that we can go to, whether it's online or offline. So think social media, think paid ads, think Google, think signage, think referral, think, business to business connections. If you're in the B2B space, using things like LinkedIn, there's all of these type of things. So think marketing, right? Number 2 is sales. And the reason why we say sales is a lot of business owners are really great at what they do. I was talking to a group yesterday and I asked the guy, what's a typical quote that you do? And he goes, it's 750 grand. And I said, well, what do you do with that quote? He goes, I just send it to him. I said, well, you've probably got 20% profit roughly. And he goes, yeah, about that. So that's 140 odd grand, 150 odd grand. And I said, so you're telling me that you do, I said, how long does it take you to do the quote? 2 weeks. They're in construction. And I said, so you spend 2 weeks, you can make 150 grand and you just email it to somebody. So what they do is they open it, sift through all of the 6 pages that you got, go down to the bottom and go, Jesus, that's expensive. Or, hey, this is pretty cheap. Or, hey, I've got 5 other people that I can now compare your stuff with to get the cheapest price.
Yeah.
Exactly, right? Sorry, mate. I wonder why they didn't get back to me, right?
Yep.
So what we do is we actually help set up an end-to-end system. And what I mean by that is it's a play-by-the-numbers sales system. From the inquiry, what email to send, when you hop on the phone, what questions to ask, when you go out and speak to people on site, or, if they're coming into your store or whatever it may be, how to present to them. What does that presentation look like? When you go, hey, we're about to give a quote to somebody, what the quote outline looks like, how to present that quote, how to follow up that quote. Once you've made the sale, how do we then hand it over with what we call, a handover checklist? So now operations go into it, whether you're a door manufacturer or whatever it may be, whatever the business is, right? So we take that step-by-step process, and then once you deliver the product, how do we get a referral and a review out of those clients? So we help build that. And then the third part to the stability part is money. And what I mean by money is we're really, really tight with your money. We want to show you where every single dollar goes. We connect with your accountant. We use a software called Fathom that we upload all of your details into so we can see accurate reporting, because a lot of businesses aren't going broke because they don't have work. They're actually going broke because they don't have cash flow.
Correct.
And, the old adage of cash is king, well, it's actually in business, there's not much cash left, so it's cash flow is king or queen, right? So you've got to think about, from a money perspective, how do we make sure that you know what your margins are, what your net profit is, what your gross profits are, where are you putting your money? So
what are your collections? It's amazing how many businesses are fantastic at generating invoices but have terrible bad debtors.
I've spoken to people that they go, no, we haven't chased them up for 4 months. I'm like, well, maybe you might want to consider 4 weeks or 4 days. Like,
I've walked into businesses where there's years. And you just look and go, it's great to be at the top line. Looks fantastic.
You might as well burn that money. Yeah,
what about this bad debt?
Yeah, and then you're struggling because you can't pay your suppliers, whatever it may be.
Or they never write it off, so their balance sheet looks great.
Absolutely.
It's like, that's fake money.
Yeah, the truth of the matter is it's not.
Sooner or later you're going to have to write it off, and then
after that, it's pretty much gone, right? So we work on, first platform stability, sales, marketing, money. Within that 4 weeks, then we're starting to look at systems, which is the next platform. And what I mean by systems, people overcomplicate it. All I want you to think about as systems is, if you could replicate you, the business owner that started all this, you had all of these hats on, but instead of having all the hats on, you've got a person that actually does one part of it for you. They do accounts, they do project management, they're the tradesperson, they're the courier, they're the delivery, they're the warehouse operator, they're whatever. All you're trying to do is replicate all the great skills that you've got and get somebody that actually can do it better than you, right? And that's a system or a process. We talk to you about how to record that using video. Today, gone are the days where it's a standard operating procedures manual. I mean, those things just kind of collect dust. It was cool for, 1968, but not today, right? So we go, you've got a mobile phone that you can use in your pocket. It's a 1080p HD camera. You can't get much better than that. I mean, you can go to 4K if you really want to, but, it's good enough. And number 2, on the screen, anything that you're doing inter-office or on screen, paying an account, booking something, project planning, doing a quote, we like to use a software called Loom, and we show you how to set up these processes, set up these checklists to go with it, so you can at least measure the performance of your employee and measure the performance of the company. Because if you can't measure it, how do you know? You can't manage it. How do you know where you are? So I think platform 2 is kind of that. And then the final platform for us, and we like to use this analogy, you can either own the race course or you can own the race horse. And to me, I like the race course, because even if it's raining and the horses aren't running, they've still got the bistro, they've still got the pub part of it, they've still got the, hay that they need to give the horses, they've still got the stables, they've still got the event area that they can do, they've still got all of these other things. So to me, what we share with our business is how to set up multiple streams of income once you've set up your base business practice. So, and let me give you an example. So I've got clients that are in construction, as an example, that they do new home builds, duplexes, single, double stories. And now what we've done is we've got that up to a point that's working beautifully. It's all client work, high-end residential stuff, $3 million plus homes, $5 million plus homes. And then we're also opening up a division for NDIS and what's called SDA, which is disability accommodation. It's literally taking their same skill set, putting it into another area that's very, very lucrative. There's a massive demand for it. And it's just, I like to kind of say it's like the Dulux color palette, where you go, it's a dark blue and I'm going over to a shade of light blue. I'm never going to tell my client to go, hey, you own a construction company, hey, let's go buy a chicken shop. Because, unless you've ran a chicken shop before, which you don't want to do because it's a shitload of work, right? But,
it's amazing how many businesses can diversify and they don't realise, because they've always been, cutting this cookie.
Correct.
And they realise that same process can be applied in another
absolutely
segment.
And it's not too far attached.
The same thing.
It's literally the same thing. It's just readjusting or retooling a bit, right? Because a lot of businesses, using the old, punt. If all you've got is a hammer, everything else looks like nails. But the truth of the matter is, you've got more than a hammer. You've got a screwdriver, you've got pliers, you can do all of that stuff. So I try to talk to our businesses and say, what is it that you're doing right now, and how can you add a complementary service to it once you've got all the systems built in your business, you're financially going well, you've got all the processes right, your team's right, then how do we pick up what we've learned and shift it into another area? And the reason I like this is I tell my businesses, if you can have multiple streams of income, so then you can take a percentage out of that and invest it into growing assets like property, like stock market, possibly like Bitcoin, like any of these. So, and I'm going to not use the word set and forget, but enough to go, I actually, grows while I sleep, so to speak. It's always going to be good for yourself and your family that you're building an asset and you're, that business that's generating cash flow for you now. It's no use just leaving it in the bank doing nothing. You might as well put it into stuff that you can grow and invest. And that's the things that we work on. So just think 3 platforms, which is stability of the business, sales, marketing, and money, systemizing the business with processes. How do I go from one to many? And then scaling the business to go from the race horse to owning the race course.
Yeah, which is smart. So it's good financials, I would say, good commercialisation and diversification. Because diversification at the end there, they're the 3 fundamentals of really any business you'd see anywhere in the world, and even not-for-profits. But that whole diversification, because most of the expense is tooling up.
Absolutely.
And if you're moving into a new segment, then your tools are already there. Most of your core operating is already there, so you're not adding any additional cost. You're just adding new revenue.
And then it's
so the economies of scale.
Right? Absolutely.
And that's where you get like really big businesses, economies of scale and moving into areas that have synergies are incredibly lucrative.
I think another...
Your profit margins are massive in comparison to starting again.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, because you've already spent the money and time into infrastructure, right? So, and this is sort of, I'm just going to add one more part of it. I think, for us, what's important is UpCoach is really, really practical. And what I mean by that is we're not only a corner man, but we're saying, hey, man, you got to get the shit done. At the end of the day, it's about
holding people accountable.
Hold you accountable. And we want to test and measure everything. So we set up, spreadsheet so we can understand how many leads you've got, what your conversion metrics are. We set up, financials so we know where your money's going, what your profitability is. But I want you to think about all of this usually leads to one thing. Sooner or later, you've got an asset that you've built that can be saleable.
Yep.
And a lot of businesses, the way that they've set up their model, can't be saleable. Some people, they've got their head on the front door and that's it. Bob Cole's, construction company. And they think that Bob's is a guy that has to do all the building and do all the stuff and, put the cement in and, bang the bricks down. And to be honest, it isn't. We help you shift that around so it's not just based on you. And sooner or later, after 20 or 30 years of your hard work, you've got an asset. But most people actually give up the asset and go, I'm going to retire, where there's so many people out there that would love to buy an established business like that and pay you handsomely for it, because all it does for them is fast track 15, 20 years of hard work that you've already done all of that for them. So we actually help businesses get ready for sale as well and help them with that transition.
Yeah. And I think a perfect example of that is gyms. Because if people see gyms mowing, gyms bookkeeping, gyms all this sort of stuff, is gyms doing all this stuff. But what gyms was a master of was setting up the systems, the processes, the marketing, the financials, the commercials, the diversification. And those systems are the same in almost any business you go to. Mm-hmm. Same as the HR systems, they're the same in every business you go to. It's the application of them. So when you start a business, you're the expert at whatever your idea is and getting that off the ground and, doing whatever. If you can build the systems around you, that frees you up to go and find the next one, or to step out and sell it to somebody else to take over.
Well, you're right, Sean. I think it's a lot easier to go from good to great than it is from zero to good.
Correct.
Right. UpCoach. That's where we play, because you said it perfectly. The economy of scale, the infrastructure that you've set up, the hard work that you've set up, the relationships. Because business is all about relationships. The relationships that you've done, well, it's time that you kind of get rewarded for those. Yeah. And that's what we do. We just, I like to, kind of leave you with this. Just imagine you've got a bike wheel that's, maybe hit the gutter a few times, and you've got some tight spokes and some loose spokes, and the wheel's wobbling out a little bit. What we do at UpCoach is we come and we tighten up some of these loose spokes. We undo some of the real tight ones and just get you running right. I'm not here to reinvent the wheel. The wheel's already done.
Yep.
We're here to make it better and possibly change the material that it's made from, so it's faster, lighter, more efficient, more durable, and has got the ability to really perform at the next level.
Yeah. And I think it's your ability to apply that that's really valuable.
Absolutely.
Because in a startup, what you do, what we do, is an expense. Going from good to great we're not an expense, we're a value add.
Yeah, very much so.
Because the cost is nothing compared to the value you get out of it.
It's a must-have.
Yeah. So even as a startup, things like we do are essential, but, you've got to find the money for them.
Correct. I think, you get more value at the later stage.
If you're at a certain level, like throwing a few $1,000s at something, so long as you do the right testing and it actually aids the right results.
Correct.
You want them to be multipliers.
Correct.
Everything you add at that point needs to be a multiplier. And from what I've seen, what you do,
we definitely
it's a multiplier.
Yeah.
And that's a lot what I like about with us, because it's a multiplier.
Correct.
If we can't help you, we'll tell you where else to go. If
it's
we can help you,
well, there's other people that specialize in that area.
Yep.
Right.
Agreed.
There's a lot of great coaches that are zero to good. So that's a good thing. So I'm not, just to make it clear, I'm not sort of saying to people, we can't help because you're zero to good. It's not that at all. It's just
the wrong fit.
It's just where we're at. That's all it is.
And it's good knowing what your niche is.
I'm very clear about our niche and where we play the best, because it's no use trying to get square peg into a round hole. I mean, you could bash it in, but it doesn't work right. So.
Yeah.
And that's about it, man. That's what we do.
And you do it very well. So
thank you, sir.
Very proud to be partnering with you.
Thank you, me too.
Cheers.